Hello and welcome to this quick Unity3D tutorial in which I'm going to show you how to exchange a game object's texture by script. When the player presses the space key on his keyboard, we want to exchange its cube's texture with the stone one, and when he presses again, we want to toggle it back to the wooden one. In order to do that, we're going to attach a C# script to the cube, and we're going to name it swap textures. First thing we want to do is to create a public texture array which will hold our textures. We also want to create an integer that will indicate which texture we're currently showing on the cube. Next thing we're going to do is, in the update function, we're going to check for the user's input. So we're going to do input.getKeyDown, keycode space. So we're going to check for the user's input pressing the space key. Next, we want to increase the current texture if he presses the space key, and of course we will have to make sure that this current texture integer doesn't go out of bounds of the texture array. So to constrain that, we're going to set the current texture to modulo of the length of our textures array. This will keep it in bounds. Last thing we have to do is to actually exchange the texture of our game object. So as I attached the script swap textures to the cube, we already have the cube as our current object. So we're going to access the renderer, and we're going to access the material of the cube, and we're going to access the main texture, and we're going to set it to the current texture we have chosen of our textures array. So we're going to switch back to Unity. Next thing we have to do is to actually assign the textures we want to add. So in my case, I want to add 2 textures for now. I can just drag and drop them in here. My current textures by default will be 0 in the beginning. So if I press play now and press my space key, it will swap the textures. So the reason why I made this array here is to have it very dynamic. So what we can do now is go to the cube, go to the script and say, okay, now I want to have 3 textures, and drop this ground texture on, and it's automatically possible to also swap to that ground texture. After that, our modulo takes place and we go back to 0, as you could see if I hadn't pressed maximize and play. So if we want to observe the current texture variable here, I'm going to press space so it goes to 1, and if I press again it goes to 2, and then it goes from 2 to 0, and this is because of this line of code, modulo the length of the array. So this makes sure it doesn't go out of bounds, and this is also dynamic because I'm accessing the length of the textures array. I can make it as long as I want. I could add a 4th texture and would automatically put 4 in here and go back to 0 after the 4th texture has shown up. Okay, this was it for the tutorial. Thank you for watching. Bye.